The Dubai real estate market is oversupplied, and prices are expected to drop. This time, it's not just the opinion of some YouTuber. A global rating agency Fitch published a report predicting a correction of up to 15%. Traditional media picked up the news and are now claiming that Dubai's real estate prosperity is coming to an end. But the question is it true? In this video, we'll break down everything Fitch said based on factual data and historical context. Their head of Middle East ratings was recently on CNBC, so let's go through his key points together.
Dubai residential real estate prices have obviously increased nearly 60% since the end of 2021. So that's obviously a very big increase in itself.
That's true. If we take all the residential properties, villas and apartments included, both ready and off-plan, then the growth is 69% since 2021.
And we're now at about a third higher than the previous peak in 2014. So yeah, absolutely, as you were saying, we think we're now close to the peak and that a moderate correction is now likely over the next 18 months.
The way he says it gives the impression that the Fitch guys think being higher than the previous peak means a new peak is close, which is ridiculous. Comparing current prices to historical ones adds very little value here. But I think Fitch has a more solid reason to say a correction is coming. Let's hear them out.
And again, as you nicely summarized, we do think that this correction will probably not be more than 15%. But we do have this, this record number of handovers that is going to happen in 25 and 26, following a big pickup in project launches in 23 and 24. So effectively, what we're saying here is that supply will outstrip demand, i.e., population growth is not going to keep up at the same levels that we've seen since the pandemic. So we think that this demand is not going to keep up with supply.
So he's basically saying Dubai is about to become oversupplied, and the population isn't growing as fast as it used to, so demand will be lower than supply, and that will lead to a price drop. Let's dive into numbers and see if that's true. But before we do that, full disclosure. I own a real estate advisory and brokerage firm, so I benefit from a thriving Dubai market. I'm a former management consultant and banker and developed a successful career because the data convinced me Dubai will stay attractive for investors for many more years. If after watching this video you decide to invest here, we'll be happy to help with everything. Finding the right property, closing the purchase, renting it out, and eventually reselling it. And if you're a corporate buyer, we'll select the deal structure that fits you most, like a joint venture, an investment contract, or a bulk deal. Then negotiate with developers and execute the transaction. All consultations for our clients are free. Scan the QR code or use the website or WhatsApp link below, and let's talk. Alright, now it's time to look at Dubai's demand-supply balance, starting with population dynamics. Here's the net population growth data for Dubai from 2018 to 2024. It's based on government statistics, and this is the net growth, so these numbers already subtract the people who left the UAE. From this data, it's obvious that Fitch's claim that population growth isn't keeping up with the post-pandemic levels is incorrect. Growth is accelerating in both absolute and relative terms. In 2024, the net increase was more than 200,000 people, and 2025 looks as strong as 2024. According to Dubai Statistics Center, in Q1 2025, Dubai's population grew by roughly 50,000 residents. This increase is exactly the same as it was in Q1 2025. Since the beginning of this year till June 5, the total population increase is 90,000. And a year ago, we saw the same numbers. 89,000 people increase over 5 months. So it's safe to assume that population growth in 2025 will also be 210,000 residents. Other sources report an increase of 90,000 residents in Q1 2025, which is approximately 1,000 people per day. However, we found no evidence to support this. So we remain conservative and assume the same growth rate Dubai experienced over the last year for both 2025 and 2026. With roughly 4 people per residential unit, that adds demand for about 52.5 thousand units per year. Critics might say a big share of new residents are blue-collar workers who don't buy or even rent in Dubai, and many of them are living in Sharjah or Ajman. But the 4 people per household figure already accounts for that. An average expat household in Dubai is 3.3 people. Quick sanity check. From 2022 to 2024, Dubai's population, including blue-collar workers, grew by 385,000. Over the same period, 101,000 residential units were completed. This gives a ratio of about 3.8 people per unit. But what we know about the previous years is that there were periods of rapid price growth, which basically means demand was higher than supply. So there are two more groups that create demand for residential properties. First is tourists. Here's a graph showing how many people visited Dubai each year. And 2024 was a record breaker with 18.7 million tourists in total. For 2025, we already have some data. In just the first quarter, Dubai had 5.3 million visitors. That's 3% higher than Q1 2024. If the same pace continues, Dubai will get about 500,000 additional tourists this year. They'll create demand for roughly 1,000 extra units rented through platforms like Airbnb. The second group is vacation homeowners. They don't live in the property year-round. They only use it when they come to Dubai on holidays. This segment is about 5 to 6% of the number of units occupied by residents. So that's demand for around 3,000 units per year. Altogether, Dubai will need 55,000 residential units per year to meet demand. Roughly 110,000 units over 2 years. So the big question remains, will the upcoming supply surpass that number? Fitch believes 90,000 units will be delivered in 2025, and even more in 2026, 120,000 units. Those figures are higher than our demand estimate, so a correction would make sense. We should expect prices to drop, right? No, the data is wrong. To make it super obvious, look at just one number, 15,398. That's how many units have been completed in 2025. And it's already June. It seems the Fitch analysts think developers were fooling around for the first 5 months of the year, but now they'll suddenly get their shit together and forex construction output. Something is clearly off with these numbers. So let's find the real one. First, we need a correct baseline. Here are the actual numbers for the future planned supply in Dubai. In reality, only 48,000 units are expected for delivery in 2025, and 72,000 are planned for 2026. In total, all the coming years should bring to 173,000 residential units. These are all units officially announced by developers until now. But the picture isn't complete, because it doesn't include units delayed from previous years. Let's add those in. From 2012 to 2021, developers sold 261,000 units in Dubai. Completed handovers from 2015 to 2024 totaled 239,000 units. That leaves a 22,000 unit gap that should also be delivered in the next 2 years. All in all, planned supply is about 295,000 units, with 142 of those expected for 2025 and 2026 combined. That's above the demand we projected, so it still looks like there will have an oversupply. But we also need to account for delays. This pie chart shows construction progress on the 295,000 units. The whole pie is all projects currently under construction, and the colors show their stages. The huge blue slice is 66% of the total, or 195,000 units. These properties are less than 20% complete. This will not be finished in the next 2 years. The green slice is 13% of the total, or about 38,000 units. These are 21 to 40% complete. 1.5 years is not enough for many of them to get built, so only a part of them will be completed in 2026. We want to stay conservative and assume that 80% of them will be completed in 2026, which gives us a supply of around 30,000 units. The yellow slice is 9% of the total, or about 26.5 thousand units. These are 41 to 60% complete. They all should be delivered by 2026. So the total supply we expect in 2026 is 56.5 thousand units, which is quite close to the demand we projected. The red and purple slices are projects more than 60% complete. These are 12% of the total, or about 35,000 units. Add the 15,000 already built, and maybe 50,000 units could actually be handed over in 2025. It could be less, but it definitely will not be more. So supply would still miss the 55,000 units of demand we estimated. All in all, we have 106.5 thousand residential units coming in 2025 and 2026 combined, and the total demand is expected to be 110,000. This basically means there is no market-level oversupply in Dubai. The units that will be delivered will not be enough to meet demand. So it's very likely that prices will keep rising on the overall market level, because some segments of the market will be oversupplied, but others, on the contrary, will face their demand far exceeding supply, and therefore prices there will grow faster than everywhere else. So if you want to benefit from that growth, reach out to us and we'll help. As you've probably noticed, we're not traditional brokers. We make sure you make informed investment decisions based on data, help you get the best deals possible, and maximize your profits. But if you're still exploring and want to learn more about investing in Dubai real estate, check out the video we made on common market myths. It's right here.